It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, good morning. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. It is the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Love what we got going on in our YouTube chat right now, which is just a bunch of guys naming dudes.
I mean, that's what the crossover turned into.
Oh, also, somebody said you haven't done your radio show tweet today. I think I forgot.
Get that out.
Well, it's too late now.
People expect it.
It's too late now. If I was like, hey, we're doing a radio show at 11 o'clock, people be like, what happened to the first hour? Be like, well, we were just naming dudes.
Do people think you suck, so they made your show an hour shorter?
Yeah, that's what they would say. Because I got some more things to say today, Josh. Apparently it is my duty to just stir up the Nebrasketball fans.
You would think that's my job.
I thought that was your job, but I thought I was saying something very normal, and now it's led to this giant discussion. So we'll get into that. It revolves around what happened elsewhere in college basketball last night, which we had a very good game between K-State and Kansas.
I told you to watch it.
Nebraska won where Kansas couldn't. And a lot of Arthur Kaluma just running around and falling down last night.
Remember him?
I do. I remember Arthur Kaluma. So we will discuss that on the show today. We will get some Super Bowl picks and props with Alan Bell. The AB3 coming up in just a little bit. Start to get you prepared for Super Bowl week. We'll check in on the Matrix today. What's going on at Super Bowl Media Day last night? What?
We will check in
on
the Matrix.
We're going to take the red pill.
There is no spoon.
And yeah, so we'll check it on the Matrix, the bracket Matrix.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert, there's nobody to yell at anymore.
Nobody to yell at?
Everybody's got Nebraska in at the moment, which is part of my thing that I'm going to say about Nebraska basketball here in just a little bit. I have spent the last 24 hours thinking about nothing but Bobby Witt Jr. and the Royals, so I apologize if I'm a little scatterbrained today.
Again, thrilled for you.
Rex Burkhead retires. I think it's become a discussion of where he sits, kind of like we were doing in the crossover of Nebraska running backs. Richard Deitch analyzes a question: Will there ever be in our lifetime a streaming only Super Bowl?
Oh, people love talking about this.
People love talking about streaming. What might that look like, and will we get there at any point? I'm going to guess probably not, but we'll discuss it as we go on throughout the show today and plenty more. Like I said, Alan Bell will join us at 11:30, Jacob Bigelow at 1, where we'll discuss Nebraska basketball topics and college basketball topics du jour with him. That is the lineup powered by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Want to hear from you guys, 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees The Source hotline. You can text that number also. Tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer, on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. You can email Connor at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. That's where John emails in already.
Hi, John.
His response to 4-day work week says, I used to work a 4-day work week, but it was 4 days on, 4 days off instead of 4 days on, 3 days off. That means the schedule rolls around. You end up working on a Saturday, then 3 full weekends, and then Sunday before having a full weekend off. It was not ideal. Interesting. I'd be willing to work on a Saturday sometimes. I mean, I guess we kind of have weird jobs, so we kind of quote unquote work on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I work a lot of Saturdays in a row.
So we're pretty. Yeah, Josh is flying on PJs, going to football games.
In exchange, I get a big gaudy ring in the summer.
You get a big old ring. That is for sure. All right. So we got plenty to talk about today. Oh, we got a text. Let's just see what this says. Connor and Josh, I hope this finds you well.
It has.
I know you probably have a great show planned out for us today, and for that we are very grateful. But I was hoping you could fit a few minutes into your schedule to discuss Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. Did it happen? Twitter claims show us the footage. The group chat with the friends this morning has been a massive stir. Can we get the pros' takes? Josh, first question of the show today. Did Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game actually happen?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable saying that it happened.
If you're a conspiracy theorist, it's very easy for you to go down the road of no, this is fake, and it seems like like this giant myth. I've often said that all of Wilt Chamberlain seems very mythical to me.
Yeah.
But there are people on this planet who could firsthand say, like, I saw Wilt Chamberlain play. Like this did happen.
So is the case for it being a hoax simply that there's no video of it?
I think so. The internet wants proof, Josh. That's what the internet is after today. I didn't know that this is what the internet was on, but they are, apparently. Yeah, I'm going to say yes, but I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist. Like, I'd be willing to listen to the take that, no, this did not happen because there is no footage, and it seems impossible. And Wilt Chamberlain seems like a fake person.
That's true.
I'd be willing to listen to this, but no, I'm a believer. Much like I'm a believer that Tupac is dead, that we landed on the moon.
I mean, I have a box score.
Yep. What's it look like?
23 in the first quarter, 18 in the second quarter. Really sloughed off in that second quarter.
Do you have his efficiency numbers?
No.
What was his effective field goal percentage?
He was.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
He was 36 of 63.
36 of 63.
28 of 32 from the line. He had 25 rebounds that day. Just 2 personal fouls.
Wow. Maybe we need to talk about the officiating from that game. How is he on the court for that long, bumping up against everybody and not getting more fouls called? Interesting. No, I'm in. I think this happened.
Number of New York Knicks got 5 or 6 fouls.
Now, the problem is I don't have the definitive, hey, here's why it happened. Here's my case for it. But I'm just a believer. I'm just a believer in it until further notice.
Yeah, I mean, there were like 9 other guys on the court that day.
Okay. Yeah, they were all there.
Somebody would have said no at some point, right? I mean, it was only in 1962. Like, enough people from that game lived long enough to where this could have been debunked, right? Was Bob Ryan there?
Bob Ryan was definitely there.
I just assumed Bob Ryan
he was covering it
there.
for the Globe.
Yeah.
Mason Daniel writes in, I feel like an opposing player definitely would have called that out at some point. Yeah. Yeah. There would have been a podcast about it already. Trust me. Yeah. So I think we're good.
Okay.
I'm good. So sorry to, the last thing I want to do is prevent people from talking about things in a group chat. I love when people connect, whether it's a conspiracy or not, or whether you want to talk about the net and how it's, built to go against you. I love the conversation. I love having the conversation. So I don't want to, I'm not the all-knowing here, but you asked me to give my take, and there it was. And that's how we begin the show today. All right, coming back. We'll talk about the aforementioned net rankings. Just got a couple things I want to get off my chest. And like the main point is this. I feel like I'm in a position where I've been telling people for like, this is now my position, Josh. Nebrasketball, it's fine. You're fine. You take care of business, you're good. You prove that you are the team that you are, and that you are supposed to be. You're good. You don't have to worry about how many quad 1 versus quad 2s you have. So we'll discuss the hyper interest on the net and how K-State did not turn into a quad 1 win last night for Nebraska basketball when we return on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. But as we mentioned, Josh, it is Super Bowl week, and happy Super Bowl week to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And we got it all lined up. There are so many options for you betting on the Super Bowl. The results of the first punt, fair catch, plus 235. Think that first punt's going to be a fair catch? You think it's going to be returned? Minus 300. That's an option for you in the FanDuel Sportsbook. Plenty of same-game parlays, anytime touchdown scores, or, of course, just the winner of the game. New customers join today, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Go to FanDuel.com/Happer and sign up. FanDuel.com/Happer. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over, present in Iowa. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is not withdrawable. Bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
There is only one constant in the universe, and that's change.
Brent Rasmussen of Mortgage Specialists.
I'm sure many of you remember the incredibly low interest rates that were available only a few years ago. Well, things changed. Now rates are higher. But would you believe me if I told you there was a time when people were paying double-digit rates? And that's the thing. Everything changes. Rates go up, rates go down. So if you're waiting for the perfect time when rates drop before you buy a home, you might miss out on the home you really want. So when you think about it, what's a thing today might not be a thing tomorrow. See? Change is good. I'm Brent Rasmussen. Call me at Mortgage Specialists, and we can show you all the details. Mortgage Specialists. Driven, trusted, reliable.
Click mtg-specialists.com. NMLS number 5918, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi everybody, Kent Pavelka here with why I chose Everlevel Concrete Repair for my driveway. They do it all. They fix cracks, lift sunken slabs, protect the finished product from deterioration, and all at a fraction of the price of replacement. It's not a Band-Aid like other repair methods. Everlevel's products are designed to last, which is why they've been voted Best of Omaha again this year. Better yet, it all comes with a transferable warranty. Protect your concrete before winter. Call Everlevel today for your free inspection. Everlevel, they make your driveway Everlevel. Level up.
You know what Mentality can help you with? Low energy, motivation, weight gain, muscle loss, fatigue, tired all the time, feeling anxious, moody, irritability, impatience, anxiety, and depression. Mentality can help you with their board-certified physicians and their testosterone treatments that can take care of you and get you back in the game. You can regain normal function and restore your ability to perform normally at all levels just by Mentality. Set up an appointment today. Go to lowtusa.com. Get back in the game. Don't sit on the sidelines and let Mentality lead the way.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone.
So what if I need a new one? No problem. We have the right battery for your car, starting at only $89.99.
Get in zone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
It's history in the making as the Omaha Supernovas, your Major League Volleyball team, continue their inaugural season as they host the Vegas Thrill Wednesday at 7 p.m. at CHI Health Center. World-class professional volleyball right here in Nebraska at the CHI Health Center. Check them out for their final game of the initial homestand. Secure your tickets and get to know your Supernovas by visiting supernovas.com. That's supernovas.com.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
All right, so last night in college basketball, Kansas State takes down Kansas. Kansas lost in a place where Nebraska basketball won, and won resoundingly.
Interesting.
Earlier in the season. Obviously, it does help Nebraska's resume as K-State moves up and up and up. Quick thing on that game real quick. How about the assistant coach pushing everyone back and preventing a potentially, questionable court storm? I shouldn't say questionable because they deserve to court storm. Would have been cool if they court stormed last night. But those two schools hate each other. They are not on good terms, So could have been ugly, potentially. The assistant coach was just like, please, 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 stay off the court. Stay off the court. And they did.
How about a little decorum?
They showed the decorum last night at the Octagon of Doom. I don't know whether I'm pro or against it. I'm pro storming courts. But I'm also pro listening, Josh. So I'm really stuck in between a pretty sticky spot right now.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I could see the bind you were in.
So anyway, on that, nice win by K-State. Obviously, it does make Nebraska's resume a little bit better because of the win. It is bumped up Kansas State to, I believe, 79 in the net rankings today. Let me double check that real quick. Yeah, 79 in the net rankings. And for a road win of 75 or better, you are given a quad 1 victory. So as it stands right now, it's that Nebraska is 4 spots away from a quad 1 victory. It sits at a quad 2 victory at this point. And I saw people just like we're hyper, and I don't mind the idea of like hyper paying attention to what's going on around you in the landscape of college basketball, but I do want to make the point really clear. Like, if Nebraska takes care of its business and they win 20, 21 games, whatever it is, get one in Minneapolis, whatever they need to do, if they take care of their own business, they have enough in their back pocket right now where the committee will look at them and they will say, that is an NCAA tournament team. Whether K-State is ranked 79 in the net or 72 in the net or 74 in the net, and it's a quad 1 or a quad 2 victory. I think, and we talked about it yesterday, like that team that we saw on Sunday night and that team that we saw last Thursday against Wisconsin, that team is good enough to make the NCAA tournament. So if they play like that, they will get the requisite wins in order for them to be in the field of 68. I have little to no doubt about that. And, like they have some of the eye tests too. They've beaten some really good teams. Like, I understand the trepidation about 2018 and how little Nebraska had on their resume when they won 22 games that year and ended up short. Trust me when I tell you, I mean, like, you guys can look at the resumes. It's completely different. Nebraska has like 3 or 4 better wins right now than, well, maybe not better, I guess, because they beat Michigan at home that year and they were a good team. But they have like 4 times the amount of wins that they had that year. Basically, it was just that win. And then it got erased in the Big Ten tournament when they got wrecked by that same Michigan team on the Friday at the Big Ten tournament. So like they needed that game too. And maybe it turned out like, actually, if they would have won that game, they still would have fallen short. But that's not the way the Big Ten looks this year. And even if it was exactly, Nebraska will have, they would have still beaten the top 2 teams in the conference. They own a couple good non-conference wins, quad 1 plus quad 2. Let me pull up their net team sheet right now. So quad 1 plus quad 2, they're 6-7. They have 6 quad 1 plus quad 2 wins. And a lot of times when you talk about it on Selection Sunday, it's yes, the quad 1 wins are obviously important. Tim Miles always used to say this thing like, if the net is the holy grail, right? A lot of times when they talk about it, there is some, like, we are smart enough, and the committee is certainly smart enough to understand that the difference between being ranked 77 in the net and 74 in the net is very negligible, right? If K-State ends up doing whatever it's like, the difference between 77 and 74 is negligible. But according to the hard and fast lines of the Q1 and Q2 thing, it's the difference between Q1 and Q2. But a lot of times when they talk about it on Selection Sunday during the shows and they talk about bubble teams, they talk about Q1 plus Q2. And then hopefully no more than 1 or 2 really bad stinkers in Q3 and Q4. There's the real hard line in between, 2 and 3 and what you've done in your schedule. And the fact of the matter is most of Nebraska's schedule has come against quad 1 and quad 2 at this point. Like I said, they're 6-7. And they're 10-0 in the other 3 and 4. So that checks out, right? No stinkers, no bad losses, a few good wins. And so, and I imagine that we'll be having a similar conversation with Jack Mitchell when he's in on the crossover a little bit later because he's hosting the afternoon show today.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's been mad at me lately. First of all, for the thing I said about K-State, and then and now this. And so what?
They're not on the bubble. Like, they're not in the last 4 buys. They're not in the last 4 in. They're not in the first 4 out. They're not in the next 4 out. They're not in the play-in game.
I wouldn't say they're not on the bubble, but like they're definitely on the right side of the bubble. And if they take care of business, they straight up won't be on the bubble.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the point that I'm trying to make. So what I'm asking for the people who are like hypersensitive to what K-State is doing for the rest of the year and how they need that to move from quad 2 to quad 1. Is it possible that we might be taking the net a little bit too literally when we're talking about the difference between 4 spaces in, 79 to 75? And on top of that, it was a win that Nebraska, I'm not trying to minimize the win that they got in December, but it was a win in December. And we're talking about it meeting an arbitrary threshold for teams that are completely different. Like, it is a good win. What I'm telling you is take the layup. It's a good win. I'm telling you it's a good win. Everybody can see that it's a good win. And whether it's Q1 or Q2, it doesn't matter, in my opinion. And so I got a couple tweets back in my direction, as you can imagine this morning.
People
Josh.
very, very reasonable, very not sensitive, very hard-nosed fans.
A Twitter account by the name of Football Nut, coincidentally,
good,
sent a tweet to me.
Yeah, throw those basketball takes at us, Football Nut.
And Herbie Husker in the profile pic.
Well, sure.
Once again, you demonstrate your utter lack of understanding concerning the committee in college basketball in general. Q1 matters more than Q2. It's just the way of things, whether you like it or not. The real issue is Nebraska needs KSU to stay a Q1 until the end of the season.
You stupid idiot. How could you not know Q1's worth more than Q2? You stupid idiot, Connor.
It's just the way of things, whether you like it or not. And I'm telling you that I've watched a lot of selection shows. Maybe something that Nebraska fans haven't done quite as much of recently.
Interesting.
And when they talk about bubble teams, or when they talk about them on all these bracketology shows that are gonna start popping up and all this stuff, like your resume is not completely dependent on whether a team you beat in December is 4 spots higher than they are right now. It's just not. So if you want to tell me that's the way it is, I'm telling you that's the way it is. Nebraska is a good basketball team with a good resume, and if they take care of their own business like they should and prove that they are better than most of the teams on the rest of their schedule, they'll be in the NCAA tournament, whether it's a quad 1 or a quad 72 win against Kansas State. They have enough. They've done enough. Now you need to take care of business in the final piece of the regular season, and your resume is not completely beholden to whether one team you beat in December is 4 spots better than they are right now. It's a good win. Take the layup. You're a good team.
I understand Nebraska basketball fans might not know how the tournament works. There's a thing called merit. And throughout the course of the year, you build these things on like lines of I don't know, call it a resume that you can present to the tournament committee and say, see, yes, we are good based on our own merit.
Josh, you tell me.
To get into this,
so
let's call it a dance.
So the first time this happens, please tell me, and I will apologize, but it will be amazing if and when it does. When the committee comes out on Selection Sunday and they go up and they ask the committee chair, Seth Davis or whatever, he asked the committee chair, hey, so why did Nebraska not get into the tournament and St. Mary's did? And the answer is hey, well, this is pretty much what it came down to. Kansas State was 79, and they really needed to be 75 in the net rankings. And that's why Nebraska's not in the NCAA tournament. It's not that serious. It's really not. The net is important. Getting good wins is important. A quad 1 and a quad 2 win are good. They're both. There are some that are are you trying to tell me that a win over the 15th best team in the country is the same as a win over the 74th best team in the country according to the net? No, that means more, right? So we're drawing this arbitrary line at 75, and what I'm telling you is, even if it's 79 or 80 or 82, they're right on the line, and it's a road win. That matters. That matters. That's why Nebraska got a lot of credit for going to overtime and falling short with Illinois, who's a top 15 ranked team. That would have been one of the best wins that, most teams have had in the country all year. They would have got a lot of credit for that. And they're getting a lot of credit for just going to overtime with them, right? So there is some wiggle room. there is some nuance, Josh, in this conversation.
Whoa, interesting.
Is this part 1 billion and 2 of we don't understand nuance? It just might be. I got a tweet from Peter Frampton's Heart Shake Talk Box.
Hi, Peter.
Yeah, the categories lead to that, he responded. He said, but the general logic is sound. You want to beat good teams, as demonstrated by those teams beating other good teams. I totally agree. I totally agree with that logic. You want to beat good teams, and you want those wins to look better. So you're generally rooting for Kansas State. Now, here's another point. To a certain extent. Because if things continue on the up and up for K-State, all of a sudden they become a bubble team, and then you don't know what to do. And then they might kick you off the bubble. Right? So, like, just, I know everything around is important to some extent, but also, if Nebraska takes care of business, they have done enough. They're an NCAA tournament team, and whether K-State's ranked number 79 or 72 in the country, I just don't I don't think it's that serious. I know it's stressful. It's stressful being on the bubble, but they're not going to leave you out of the tournament based on 4 ranking spots from a team you played in December. It's not happening. That's not how it works. Right? So I'm not telling you to not pay attention to the other stuff going around, happening in college basketball. Like, it was definitely good for Nebraska that K-State won that game last night, making K-State look better. But it's not the end of the world that they didn't reach quad 1. Also, another thing we have neglected to mention in this territory, there's also a month of the season left. A month.
Go on, expand on that.
That means, Josh, there is a lot of games left to be played and a lot of time for the net to move up and down. It'll sort itself out.
They don't set the field on February 6th.
No. What I'm trying to tell you, what I'm trying to tell you is that you're good. Like, I know I seem like the heel and all this stuff sometimes, and Josh is definitely the heel, and sometimes
just a troll.
I'm just a huge troll. But like what I'm trying to tell Nebraska basketball fans is, like, you're good enough. You're good enough to make the NCAA tournament, and I think over the next month that will prove itself out, and we won't have to really sweat too much. And if Nebraska does get jobbed by the committee, which if they take care of business, they shouldn't, then then they announce, hey, well, K-State was a Q2 and not a Q1, so that's it. That's the story with Nebraska. I don't know. There's got to be something in there. Like, I will.
They only beat number 1
quit my job. I don't
one time. Why not twice? Now, Connor, I'm going to urge caution.
Okay.
When attempting to troll Nebraska
I'm not
basketball.
trolling. I'm just saying maybe we're caring too much about the very specific intricacies of the rating system that is used arbitrarily to determine how good teams are.
In my experience, when trying to troll Nebraska basketball, they will always do the opposite of what you say that they're going to do.
So what do I do then?
Don't say anything.
Maybe I should say, you know what? That is going to be them not ranking K-State higher in today's version of the net. That's going to be a killer. That might be the one that does you in.
I would hold off on saying things like "you're in" and "don't worry."
I'm not saying that. The qualifier for all this is they got to take care of business in the final month of the regular season, which I believe, as I've discussed plenty of times, they are good enough to do. If they play up to their standard, they won't have a problem. They'll get in. Whether their resume shows that Kansas State is a quad 1 win or a quad 2 win. And like I said, I'm not telling you to not pay attention to this stuff. Like, I think it's good, and I think it's actually cool, for the college basketball world to have another fan base involved and engaged in all this stuff. Like, that's a good thing. Be engaged in it. but this is not the end all be all.
Nebraska, you're going to want to take a look at what Miami did last night or didn't do last night and not do that. Miami only scored 38 points last night in a basketball game.
Yeah, don't do that. That would be bad for the net.
Just don't do that.
Doc asks on the text line,
"What's up, Doc?
Play to their road standard or their home standard? Those are two different things." Well, that's why I think Sunday was so big for me, just in my, and how I think about them. It proves that they can and are capable of expending that kind of effort and energy on the road and playing a complete 40, 45 minutes, whatever it takes to win a basketball game. Illinois is a good team. Like, there's a reason why the metrics love the fact that Nebraska went to overtime with them. They're getting quite the bump from that over the weekend. Like, they're good enough, This was the point from the very start. They're good enough. Joel writes in.
Hi, Joel.
That's the way of things. Quote, tournament committee on leaving Nebraska out of the NCAA tournament. Mike on YouTube, Connor Happer is not of college basketball. The net ranking is used to justify the eye test. And Nebraska basketball passes the eye test. I want to be like, I guess I am telling people to calm down, right? I guess that's what I'm doing. I'm telling people to calm down. I'm telling you that, hey, look, you're good. Like, not you're good from like you could just sit back and you're in the NCAA tournament, no doubt about it. I'm telling you, you're a good basketball team. And if you get flashbacks from 2018 and you're thinking, well, we were good in 2018 and look where that got us. My response would be, well, yeah, you're good, and you could prove that you're good. You have a piece of paper that tells you that shows you what your resume is, and it is good. It is of an NCAA tournament team. It is of dancing, Josh.
Oh,
so that's it. That's what I had to say about the net. The net is a good tool. The net is used to confirm the eye test. There is little to no difference between the 76th and the 74th ranked team in the country, according to the net. It's all going to be viewed the same. It was a good win. And also, I mean, what have you done for me lately is pretty important too. But if that is ruled null and void due to the fact that Nebraska won't play anybody in their last, 8, 9, 10 regular season games here, then they'll have to look back at what their body of work and what they've done throughout the entirety of the season. And I think winning against Wisconsin and winning against Purdue and winning at Kansas State and going to overtime with Illinois, like that's all in, and then taking care of business against all of the bad teams that will quote unquote bad teams that won't end up making the NCAA tournament. That's okay. It's like how many that's always the question. Like how many NCAA tournament teams have you beaten during the season? Let's like Nebraska will have the win over Michigan State. We forget about that Michigan State game too. K-State's going to be, kind of bubbly. Purdue, Northwestern, probably Wisconsin. Like you've already beaten, what did I just count? 4 or 5? You've already beaten 4 or 5 NCAA tournament teams. It's not like Nebraska lost to Rutgers, and they lost to Minnesota. They might end up being kind of bubbly too. Like those are what you would categorize as your worst losses. They're both on the road in conference. It checks out. It's all good. It's all good, my guys. So I'm not telling you to be chill.
It's all good,
but
man.
Like, be chill. Jack John writes in.
Hi, Jack John.
If we're being honest, Nebraska needs to win 5 out of the last 8. That's not going to be easy. We have a significant amount of work left to do. I agree with that. Frankly, I was discussing this with somebody last night. Like, I am not unconcerned about Nebraska stubbing their toe in one of these home games. Like that's always a worry. But like I said, if they play to what they're capable of, they won't, and they'll end up taking care of business. They already have 16 wins, guys. We're talking about the target number being 20 or 21 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then a 9th at least in the Big Ten tournament. They're good enough to get that. Plenty. To the phones. Before we talk to AB, Randy's on the 42 Degrees Source Hotline. Hi, Randy.
Hey, one thing I was looking at as I look at the stuff, but this is, with the Jack Mitchell yesterday afternoon, who to root for type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, one team I looked at that has traditionally been up there, and that's Gonzaga. If you look at, they've got a net right now of 26. But if you look at a bracket matrix out of 88 brackets, they're on 11 of them only. So their numbers are the exact opposite of what we're looking at with Nebraska this year. So.
Yeah, that's an interesting. So, are you talking, Randy? Are you trying to say in how the net?
I'd rather to be in Nebraska's shoes than Gonzaga's right now with a net of 26.
No doubt about it. Yes, no doubt about it. Yes. Thanks for the call, Randy. That's a good point. They're in a conference where it's all about opportunities, right? So, Gonzaga's best wins on the season. Their best win, according to my little KenPom, Josh, is literally against San Francisco.
Yeah,
at home, right? So,
that's Gonzaga's schedule.
Whatever
biting it in the butt,
exactly. Whatever your net is, okay, and that'll sort itself out. What the net is saying is hey, this is a pretty good basketball team, but they're not going to have the resume to make the NCAA tournament. They'll have to win their conference tournament in order to get in. They had a few opportunities against really good teams and lost them all. They lost to Purdue. They lost to Washington. They lost to UConn. They lost to San Diego State. They lost to St. Mary's over the weekend. They'll still get St. Mary's one more time, and they'll go to San Francisco on the road, and they play Kentucky this weekend on the road, which is a weird
random
out of conference game. But if they don't find a way to win a couple of those, if not all of them, that's not an at-large team. Nebraska has the wins. We got the wins, Josh. We got the wins.